Am I live?
Ladies and gentlemen, mostly gentlemen, I presume, welcome back, and they, thems too, can't forget them, to Ace Attorney Ryunosuke Edition, where I am bringing into the hot seat the coroner. They let a woman examine bodies, and naturally that means the entire government has gone to shit. It's time to put her on the stand as we question her integrity and all of the lies that she might have been telling, because she might be manipulating everything behind the scenes. Her and Enoch Drebber and their illustrious affair, that is what the mission is to uncover today. I wore blue for the occasion because that's the color of honesty and righteousness. I'm just gonna start right away because we gotta get through this, right? Kuran says, Jonathan Brown, Jacob Welsh, Tito TJ, and the rest of you, hello. Thank you for being here. And I do tend to waste a lot of your guys' time in the beginning of these things, but no! I've got no real stories or information to share. We're just gonna get right into the game. How new for me. Thank you for your attendance at such short notice, Dr. Scythe.
I'm disappointed in you, Lord Von Zeeks. You've completely betrayed the agreed policy of both Scotland Yard and the prosecution's office.
Why is Madame Tussbells fidgeting so much? Is she still sculpting away? Betrayal is not in my nature, as long as the truth isn't compromised. If it is, if there's even a hint of wrongdoing, then no matter whom it concerns or disgruntles, I will pursue the matter to the bitter end, as would any prosecutor worth his salt. He's got you there, honey. What can you say to that? Mr. Drebber, if you took the victim's life by means of a machine that you constructed in your workshop... And, wait, did I misread that? Oh, I'm just straight accusing. There is no if. You took the victim's life by the means of the machine that you conducted in your workshop. That wasn't a question, that was a statement. Let's be perfectly clear. And Dr. Scythe, as the investigating coroner, you were the first on the scene to examine the victim's body. It is the belief of the defense that you collaborated with each other and were both complicit in this crime.
And where's your evidence?
At present, I don't have that. But I do have a clue. A clue. A very significant clue.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking, of course, about the waxwork. That thing. This model of the killer known as the Professor, who was sentenced to death 10 years ago.
You don't need to tell me. I witnessed the man's execution with my own eyes, and officially pronounced him dead.
Yeah, well, that's my problem. I think you're pulling a Jeffrey Epstein on us. You're like Pam Bondi. That remains to be seen.
Is that so?
According to newspaper reports from the time, on the night following his execution, the killer came back to life.
Don't waste my time.
And the sole witness to that mysterious event was you! Ooh, pardon the voice crack. Was you, Mr. Enoch Drebber. Isn't that right? If what you saw in the graveyard that night 10 years ago wasn't some chilling fiction, but reality, it would make you privy to a very great secret of Dr. Scythe's. A secret so profound that it could compel the coroner to agree to collaborate in your evil scheme, in fact. Mr. Drebber, tell the court, right now. Tell everyone the truth of what you saw that night in Lowgate Cemetery.
Frankie! He was the student who saw it?
Yeah, babe, you can see the resemblance, actually, can't you? The man with Madame Tussbells, I mean.
Well, surely he's not gonna claim what he really saw, especially not after all these years.
He was a research student at the University of London, wasn't he?
And a bit too clever for his own good, if you ask me.
I'm asking you, dollface. Oh, Frankie and Franny, hi.
What an interesting twist.
What?
When at the time not one person would take me seriously. Yet now here we are 10 years later, and suddenly my story matters, and in a court of law, too.
God, Jesus, fuck. I wonder what he's like in bed.
Very well then, if everyone so wishes. Let's be frank. I'll tell you the truth of what happened that night for what it's worth.
They kind of look like brother and sister. Am I wrong in that?
So, Mr. Drebber, your testimony, if you will, please, about the events of that night 10 years ago. You will tell the court exactly what you stumbled across in Lowgate Cemetery.
Yes, of course, as you wish.
All right. Testimony from the Nightmare Before Christmas. Give it to me, Mr. Jack, in the cemetery 10 years earlier.
The reason I was in Lowgate Cemetery at all 10 years ago was for a spot of moonlighting, shall we?
Oh, is the Lowgate Cemetery the local prostitution site? The cruising zone? All right, were you taking a fatty up your... Never mind. All right, moonlighting as Madame Tuspel's waxwork. I got it. I remember. My brain still works a little bit.
Yes, the illustration in that newspaper article was based on what I witnessed that night. But thinking back now, I realize that I never actually saw the professor. Soon afterward, I was visited by a young woman who sculpted a model of me from wax. Then I gave up on my dream of becoming a scientist, and it was all because of that newspaper article.
Great. Sounds like we have to do a little bit of therapy here. Where's Athena Sykes? Wait a minute. Now you're claiming that you didn't actually see the professor? What?
Of course. You'd have to have a screw loose if you believed a corpse could come back from the dead.
But... So you're saying that this article is...
Not worth the paper that it's printed on. I think that would describe it perfectly, yes?
Fuck! Why do they always do this to me?
If the details in the article aren't true, it nullifies your argument for why Mr. Drebber and Dr. Scythe would have been working together.
So he's discrediting himself to cripple my argument.
Tell me, witness. You claim to have been in the cemetery on some auxiliary business. Could you please elaborate?
Wait, is his auxiliary business not working for Madame Tuspel's?
That's right, grave robbing to be precise.
No, he was working for her. He was robbing the professor for Madame... Yeah, right?
As you know, Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison. So among students at the university, I had a reputation for being haunted by ghosts of condemned convicts.
You had a reputation?
No, the graveyard had a reputation.
Keep up. Oh, sorry. Grave robbing, you say?
Yes, exhuming fresh corpses to sell is reasonably lucrative.
Is it? For what?
Of course, I never laid a finger on any valuables buried with the dead.
Their bodies are valuables! What are you're selling them for value!
So you were one of the so-called resurrectionists, a particularly unpleasant scourge on society. Actually, my fellows, I went by another name. The repurposers.
Well, that's quite beyond the pale. You would invite divine retribution, sir!
Yes, well, I think I suffered retribution enough. I think it's barely begun. The Daily Circus eventually unearthed my name and put it in print. It cost me a great many headaches. In the end, I had to leave the university. That was the only paper with the bad grace to identify me unambiguously, I might add.
I see.
Out of interest, who drew the illustration for this article? Ha, yes. That was the reporter who exposed me. He sketched that right in front of me as I described the scene. Obviously, as time ticked on, I bitterly regretted what I'd done, claiming to have seen something that I never truly saw. Foolish. Very foolish.
Well, counsel for the defense. You may proceed to the cross-examination now.
That's what okay, yeah, at once, my lord. Son of a bitch, we're gonna have to talk to this guy for a while, I fear. Alright, I'm gonna press it all. Moonlighting as a grave robber. By moonlighting... Blah, 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 blah. By moonlighting, you mean grave robbing, do you?
Surely you need only look at the graveyard scene and my appearance to gauge the answer to that.
The lantern and spade. But who on earth would want to buy a dead body?
Any major hospital.
A hospital?
In order to better understand the human body, the study of anatomy is crucial to medical science. But there isn't a hospital in the world that has enough specimens to work with. Though obviously they can't openly express an interest in obtaining more by dubious means.
As aspiring scientists, we young research students had no money to work with, as I'm sure you could imagine. So we made surreptitious arrangements with a hospital via some of our medical student acquaintances. We would never take anything of value from the graves. This was all for the furtherance of science, you see.
Yeah. Crimes in the name of science. And then we used to kill bunny rabbits.
And that's what we all told ourselves every time we stole into the graveyard at night, spade in hand. You realize body snatching is a serious crime. If you were caught, you could expect the gravest of consequences. We students were caught between the hammer and the anvil. We needed funds for research.
You could have done prostitution! You could have just gone to the local back alley, took a couple loads, and walked away with a couple hundred. Alright, you didn't have to steal bodies! My god! Or you could have sold weed. I don't know. Is that a thing at this period of time?
Professor Hairbrain said exactly the same thing.
I'm quite speechless at the apparent levity with which you've revealed this abhorrent behavior.
Well, if you wanted to know why I was there at Lowgate Cemetery, that's the reason. But I never expected it to end the way it did. That, I regret to this day.
Great. The illustration was based on what I witnessed that night. Right, but then you say it's a lie. I never actually saw the... Alright, let me press this. What are you talking about?
I think I explained already, didn't I? Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison, so it was renowned amongst the students at the university for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts. For some absurd reason, I was scared of the graveyard at night, and as a result, only too willing to believe that nonsense about the dead coming back to life.
But you said that you saw it!
I said what I'd seen in my mind's eye. After all, resurrection is impossible, isn't it? You'd have to be unhinged to think otherwise. Unless, of course, you have some evidence that proves I encountered the professor that night.
Well, actually, it's funny you bring that up. I do recall the camera from around the neck of Waxwork Drebber in the special exhibit. When the lens is extended, there's dark staining that's visible on the bellows. This has to come into play at some point. You did have a camera with you, and the camera has blood on it, but I don't know how to bring that into play yet. So we gotta take our time with this, and I gotta be real careful about it. We also have this photographic print. I don't know if that's gonna become relevant at any point in time. Photograph of the balloon, and that's pretty much all I think that I have on you, actually, at this moment in time. Okay, well, I'm working on it, so sit tight. I don't know. Is there any material evidence that could show he really did see the professor?
If we have anything at all, Mr. Naruhodo.
I know, I need to present it against that irritatingly backtracking statement of his.
The point is, that night was a pivotal moment in my life.
Yeah, real pivotal. Visited by a young woman who sculpted the model. Yeah, okay, well... Let's just stall at this point while I gather my bearings. The young woman being Madame Tuspels, of course.
Precisely. I must say, I didn't expect to run into her again like this 10 years later.
As I have explained, I went by the name published in the article, and Komika found the man.
Yeah, the article in the Daily Circus, I think you said.
I was a poor student with barely a penny to my name at the time. And the young lady put £5 in front of me.
So you readily consented to having a waxwork of yourself made and gave permission for it to be put on display?
I did. I should sell what little I had to sell, I concluded.
Oh, oui. I remember now. I purchased something else from you that day, Miss Sipa.
What, huh? Did you? I can't say I remember. What was it, madam?
His camera.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Yeah, do you still have it, perchance? Huh? Oh, yes. I made a point of taking it with me whenever I made an excursion into any cemetery.
You took a camera with you, sir. To what end?
To record the details of the body that I disinterred. But I had no intention of ever visiting a graveyard again after that night, so I sold it.
Oh, I see.
Would it not be really weird though if he did take an incriminating photograph to then sell the camera? Wouldn't you want to not sell the camera off? I don't know, I'm getting a little confused.
But I still have it, monsieur. It is part of this special exhibit in my House of Horrors. I am very meticulous about such detail. It is the Tusper's way. It would seem, then, that this is the very camera that Mr. Drebber took with him to Lowgate Cemetery on the night in question!
Huh. It's the real deal. Interesting. That means we have it. The actual camera that he had with him in the cemetery. That's important and helpful. Then I gave up on my dream of becoming a scientist. It was all because of that newspaper article. Okay, I'm so sorry for you. This article, you mean? Published in the Daily Circus. Yes, somebody informed the dean that it was my name that appeared in the article, and carelessly let slip that night after night I was digging up graves. Hardly a model student, you might say. The university's reputation was execrably, fuck, oh my god. Maybe I'm just illiterate, execrably, oh, I can't even, I'm not even fucking spelling it right. How does this spelled? Execrably.
Execrable.
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 Extremely bad or unpleasant.
Execrable.
Execrably. Execrably. Dave Abler, hello. I was expelled, is what I'm getting at here.
Mon Dieu, I had no idea.
And having been run out of the university, you found employment in a somewhat specialist trade. You combined your knowledge of science with knowledge of stage magic to create various experimental machines intended to demonstrate never-before-seen technology. And you use those deceptive machines to trick the government and private investors into giving you money! Professor Albert Hairbrain was just your latest victim, wasn't he? Whatever are you talking about? I have no recollection of doing anything of the sort. She's awfully quiet. What's Drebber up to? Why would he suddenly change his tune and recant his claim?
I wonder if perhaps it's because circumstances have changed now.
What circumstance?
Well, if he admits to having seen the professor emerging alive from his grave 10 years ago, it will expose a secret in Dr. Scythe's past that she would desperately want to hide.
Well, yeah, of course. If Drebber and Dr. Scythe are working together now, then if Drebber were to betray her, there would be no reason for her to continue to cooperate. In that case, there's only one way around it. I have to prove he really did see it. Prove he really did see the professor's corpse coming back from the dead as he originally claimed.
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo! Exactly!
Okay, well there's only one statement I skipped over pressing. That's this one. Let's look at this. The illustration based on what I witnessed that night. The strange happening at Lowgate Cemetery, which you now deny. Not entirely. I ran to fetch the police at the time, you know. I was shaking like a leaf. But they didn't believe a word of it. In fact, I was very nearly arrested myself. So you went to the papers instead. I started big with the London News, but unsurprisingly, they didn't want to know either. In the end, though, it was reporters from the gossip rags, the gutter press, that came to get my story, and it spread like the plague through the capital as gossip-hungry Londoners lapped up the tale. The story was in every single paper at the time with the exception of some broadsheets. And yet only 2 or 3 of them actually interviewed me personally. Most of the accounts turn out to be very interpretive ghost stories. What about the article in the Daily Circus? That particular journalist found me at my dormitory. I don't know how, but he discovered my name. So I recounted to him exactly what had happened that night. And from your description, he drew this illustration. Precisely, that's how I learned that the condemned man was the infamous professor, because the reporter told me so. I had no idea myself. News reporters are wont to snoop around the matters that don't concern them. So the scene portrayed in the illustration is accurate, then? Well, I realize I never actually saw the professor at all. So, how can I disprove that using the camera? Because there's no photographic print that we can look at, isn't that correct? Isn't that what we established? This is where the photographic plate goes. That's right. The actual camera. I certainly never imagined this piece of evidence would be on display in Madame Tuss spells. Or has that changed now since this is a real camera? Because, okay, I remember being like, we thought that this was a prop camera, which means that there would be no photo. What a wonderful machine! You really love contraptions. Oh yeah, anything mechanical. That's worrying. Father tells me that he's poor professor mitochondria. Okay. But I really thought we had more to work with on this, but I guess we don't. And then we have the stain. I mean, it's at least worth questioning him about the stains on his camera, no? I don't really know how that's a contradiction, though. Never actually saw the professor at all, though. Mr. Drebber's dreadful encounter. He's wearing the camera in this, and the camera is open. It's Adi Assman. Wait a minute. The credit for this sketch, if that's the rendition credit, the credit is going to Adi Assman. Isn't that our current victim? So is Adi Assman the journalist who interviewed Drebber and made up this sketch? What does that mean? Kind of spoiler, I think this is the hardest cross-examination in the entire duology. Oh, Assman. Dreadful encounter. I realize I never actually saw the professor. Let me think about this. Let me think long and hard, and I will get to the right answer. The camera's super relevant, I just don't know how to use it. Would I use this first and say, like, but you I don't know what to use. Illustration in the newspaper was based on what I had witnessed that night, but I realize I never actually saw the professor at all. Hold it! And then what did Susato-san say? Pretty much nothing, right? We go through all this.
condemned, blah, blah, blah. I guess I should just try to throw the camera and see what happens. You said you actually saw it. I saw it was in my mind's eye. After all, resurrection is impossible. You have to be unhinged to think otherwise. Unless, of course, you have some evidence that proves I encountered the professor that night. This is why I'm thinking maybe we can use the blood. If the blood is the professor's blood, that might work. Material evidence that I could show that he really did see the professor. That we're kind of bluffing here, but it is an Ace Attorney game. Bluffing's pretty much what we do. I've got a lot of credibility. I can afford to make a mistake or two. No! Oh my! Wrong button. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Fuck. Oh my god, and we have to wait for his whole fucking monocle animation too. That's crazy. Okay, yep. Son of a bitch! God, pressing the wrong button really fucks you over in this. Okay. Okay, go back, press the right button. Never actually saw the professor at all. But this camera.
Objection.
Nope, it's not the camera. The defense would object to that statement. Okay, yeah, and you overrule. All right. Thank you for being quick about it. The signature is also the same, so we're gonna have to do that at some point for sure. Never saw the professor, visited by a young woman, then I gave up on my dream of becoming a scientist. Can I disprove he gave up on his dream? Shit. We're fucked, boys. Okay. Gave up. This statement is the one that, like, Susato-san gives the hint of, like, if we have any evidence, we need to throw the evidence. So it's got to be this statement. Never saw the professor at all. At all. Never saw him at all. How can I disprove that he's never seen the professor at all? Wait a second. When was this given to him? There's a little metal plaque here, look. Fostering talent for the future of scientific discovery. It seems rather ironic, doesn't it? But clearly Mr. Drebber was a very talented scientist. Okay. Let me just play a little game of Uno reverse here. Okay, this trophy, not particularly relevant, but it absolutely contradicts your statement that you gave up on becoming a scientist. What? Is this the contradiction I'm looking for? Hang on.
Objection.
Nope, okay, sorry. Red herring to the extreme. I mean, okay. You know what? Why? Okay, then why do I have the fucking trophy? Is it just there to just, like, fuck me up? That was mean of you. Quite rude of you, video game, actually. Alright, fuck off. Is it as simple as, Is it as simple as giving him the newspaper? I never actually saw the professor, but then this sketch is based off of what you saw in the sketches of the professor. Like, is it that simple? I feel like at that point it's gotta be. I better save. I don't know how south this is gonna go, how fast.
Okay. Never saw the professor at all, though. But this sketch is based on what you testified to having seen. This feels like we're just, like, going around in circles, so I feel like this is not the correct answer, because if it is the correct answer, that's really stupid. But as the great Hairlock Sholmes would say, I'm kind of running out of reasonable options here. So when I'm running out of options of things that would make sense to present, I feel like all that's left is here. There is also the waxwork head, the head of the Professor Waxwork that was stolen from Madame Tuspel's exhibit. So, would we suggest that... Okay, actually, it could be this, or it could be this. Maybe it's this. And then we would talk... Well, because then we could be like, well, you say you never saw the professor, but Madame Tuspel's... Maybe we bring Madame Tuspel's into this by saying, she saw the professor, and you were there, and her waxwork head matches... Okay, the waxwork head, the mask, matches this masked figure. So we have two different people that are describing seeing the same thing. Yes? So maybe it's the waxwork head. Let's throw that out there.
Objection!
Son of a bitch! Okay, maybe it's the magazine. Maybe it's the 10-year-old article.
Objection!
Goddamn shit! What the fuck? Please, enlighten me why the... Alright, game, make it make sense to me. Make it make sense. I'm here, I'm all ears, and I'm listening to you. Alright, how is the 10-year-old article that we just talked about, where he's like, yeah, I just kind of lied and made up bullshit, and now that's my cinching evidence to prove that he saw... Okay, fine, go off. Sorry, Mr. Drebber, but I don't believe that. Don't believe what? Your latest claim. You did see the professor on that night 10 years ago. Oh dear. We do seem to be at odds, but I was there, and you were not, and I know what I did not see. The illustration with this article was drawn based upon what you told the journalist that you witnessed. Yeah, he said that in his testimony. A figure emerging from a tomb, wearing an iron mask. Yeah, which is why I presented the iron mask that Madame Tuspel's made, because I was using... My evidence was to use Madame Tuspel's as a second witness to say, hey, she made this, which matches this. Do you not follow my logic, game? And see how my logic is the actual cinching evidence here? Because I needed to bring in a secondary party, or a third party? An additional party that would verify the same image as matching what he described as he witnessed. That's what I'm building at here. Yes, when the killer was tried 10 years ago, it was decided in the closed court's ruling that the man would wear the mask to hide his identity. It was to be removed even during his It wasn't to be removed even during his execution and subsequent burial.
Not even the prison wardens were to see the man's face. But obviously, the provision of this mask was not public knowledge.
So, Mr. Drebber, as you've just heard, a lowly student of the University of London certainly wouldn't have known about the condemned man's mask. So unless you'd actually seen the professor that night, it's inconceivable that the artist would have included the mask in the illustration. Okay, go off.
Well, Mr. Drebber.
I hope you're happy. I lost all of my credibility, and I'm gonna be flying by the skin of my ass for the rest of this trial now. It's a vile scene, isn't it, if you look closely? And as I've already been at pains to point out, I was utterly petrified. Which is why I had it in my head that I'd seen such a blood-curdling sight. But afterwards, I came to my senses and realized that I'd been mistaken. You're still saying that you didn't see it?
If you're stubbornly sticking to that story, witness, then amend your testimony to explain exactly how you think your eyes deceived you. Of course, of course. Only too happy to oblige. Great, okay. Lay it on me. Round 2. I better perform better. What I in fact witnessed was a fellow grave robber at work.
Hold it!
Excuse the fuck out of me? Pardon? A fellow grave robber. Really? Another grave robber. Go on. Elaborate. Well, I wasn't the only one busy in the cemetery that night, you know. Other body snatchers were at work. Of course, when I saw one emerging from the hole he'd dug, my heart nearly stopped. So that's the terrifying sight that I actually saw, you see. You're claiming it was just another student on equally insalubrious business as yourself. Many of the medical students would wear metal masks to protect them from bacteria during dissections. Clearly, the fellow was using such a mask to protect his anonymity, wouldn't you say?
Objection!
But there's more to the story, isn't there? The article goes on to say, in the next second, a gunshot rang out suddenly from behind. The bullet pierced the resurrected man's chest, whose breath then stilled once more.
We might assume that the sexton discovered the miscreants at work, perhaps, and fired upon them.
If a gravedigger had shot someone in the cemetery, I think it might have been rather big news, my lord.
Oh! Well, yes. I suppose you're right.
I can only assume it was an embellishment bolted on later by the reporter. Oh, thank God. Madam Tussbells, you disagree?
Excuse me!
Excusey. I have a woman who disagrees. Madam Tussbells! Don't take it out on Mr. Sholmes, please. She is being a little bit rough with it, isn't she? Oh la la! Pardon. I was lost in my thoughts. Would it be fair to say that Mr. Drebber's last remark was significant to you in some way? I thought it was a little strange, that is all. How Monsieur Drebber could claim this now. If you don't mind me saying, madam, what are you talking about? Well, when I met you 10 years ago at your university dormitory, you recounted to me about your adventures in cemetery, no? Including the gunshot. Stop! Oh, Jesus. Oh, my goodness, are you okay? You might want to watch your tongue, you know.
Objection!
Have a care, Drebber. That is no way to speak to a lady. Please, Madam Tussbells, continue. Of course. According to what Monsieur Drebber told me at the time, he did hear a gunshot from behind him, and the bullet hit the condemned man. I said nothing of the sort! Feisty now, aren't we? No, you were rather explicit about the details, about the mask that the figure was wearing, and the blood that spattered over you when he was shot. Bing, cinch, hook, line, sinker. I got the evidence to back up this claim. We are smooth sailing now, boys. Probably.
Enough! Shut up, woman! You're making all this up! That will do. I'm gonna kindly ask you to stop yelling. You'll piss off the neighbors. Mr. Drebber.
Yes?
You refute the account given by Madam Tussbells just now.
I have no recollection of ever saying those things. Oh, come on. Do you really expect us to believe you?
Now, counsel, control yourself. I will not permit baseless accusations in my court.
Right. I do apologize.
Under the circumstances, I think it best that you supplement your testimony with a statement to clarify your position on this witness.
Now listen, I might yell at my computer screen like a weeaboo for 1 hour every night at a reasonable time. But my neighbors
lady across the hall has very loud, very promiscuous sex, which I guess we're also on the same playing field for that. But also, guys, there is some tea. All right, I fight about fake drama in video games, but I live alone. The people who live behind me in the other apartment, I don't know who they are. I don't know what the drama is, but if you guys want some hot tea, the neighbors, they were fighting. I don't know all the details. I don't know if they broke up. It sounded bad. There was a man, and it was a man and a woman, and the man was definitely screaming and crying. Like, screaming, and it was a lot of, I fucking hate you! I really fucking hate you! And so, naturally, I'm just sitting there reading my little book, being like, tea, drama. And, like, it's also, like, really awkward, too, because, like, it was very emotional. Like, there was deep emotion happening beyond that wall of a lot of I fucking hate yous being screamed behind very clear crying. So I don't know if the woman was breaking up with the man, or if the man was breaking up with the woman, or what they were fighting about. Hopefully they made up. The good news is, above all else, God bless, it sounded like an entirely verbal altercation, that I did not hear anything that sounded like physical violence. It did sound like adults who are going through it, but, like, you know, they're just screaming at each other, which is not the most ideal situation in the world. But listen, we always pick screaming and like verbally yelling over any type of like physical altercations. All right, sorry. Anyways, back on task. Very well. There was no gunshot from behind me at all, nor any splattering of blood. All right, I'm gonna be real bold here, and I'm gonna just go for it. This seems super fucking crystal clear to me. So I swear to God, this better fucking work. I'm really, really running out of credibility, but like, this feels like it should really be a clear line from point A to point B. I think we got this one, boys.
Objection!
Phew. Mr. Drebber, do you remember this camera? Oh, but that is the camera from the Fateful Night. Exactly. We, borrowed it from the House of Horrors. It's the camera that you took with you to the cemetery that night, Mr. Drebber. And is that supposed to be significant? This kind of camera is rarely seen in our homeland, so my colleague and I were keen to examine it rather closely. We noticed that the lens extends forward on the end of some bellows. Just like this.
Hold it!
What's that? There, just on the bellows. Oh yeah, it's blood. I'm getting to that, don't you worry. It looks like a dark red stain. Sorry. I do love this man a lot, but the decisions that were made in his animations, I mean, they're cute, they're funny. They were definitely choices that were made. The this and the this and the... my man, he does some real fucking quirky shit. That's very right, actually. It's a rather conspicuous mark here on the bellows, in fact.
Oh, good lord, are you suggesting?
I am suggesting, my lord. It would appear to be a spatter of blood. Something that could be confirmed with a simple chemical test. Isn't that right, Dr. Scythe? It would be difficult to determine if it was human blood, and not the blood of some animal. But yes, to test whether or not it's blood at all is simple enough. I propose that Madame Tuspel's testimony was correct, and that on the night in question 10 years ago, you were spattered with blood from the gunshot wound. Well, and that furthermore, you really did witness the condemned professor emerging from his tomb. Yo! Got him! There's simply no way that you could have forgotten such a traumatic experience. In other words, the only explanation is that you're trying to hide the fact that you saw the professor that
Objection!
night. But why? Why would he want to do that?
Well, not for his own gain, it would seem. For whose then? Who could benefit? Mr. Trevor is obviously lying in order to protect somebody.
My goodness. You're telling us he's shielding someone?
Oh, and he's looking right at her. Yeah, my lord, and clearly, it's someone who doesn't want the truth about the professor's coming back to life to be exposed.
Well, counsel, who is it then? Who is this witness? Who is this witness trying to protect?
Guys, come on. I literally already fingered her yesterday. You're gonna make me finger her again today? It's Dr. Courtney Scythe. The obvious answer is Dr. Scythe. Scythe?
Whatever do you mean?
I mean, I've been saying for like 6 hours now that she's a lying bitch. Imagine if the convict who'd been sentenced to death was not in fact killed. Imagine if that was to come to light.
What exactly are you insinuating?
Well, imagine if the convict in question was the country's most hated mass murderer. If it was the professor...
Well, that would be an unprecedented scandal.
Objection!
This is beyond a joke. Need I point out that the dead cannot come back to life? What you're suggesting would mean that the execution never actually happened. Yeah, I'm like trying to make that super fucking obvious. Why is it taking everyone so long to get on my level? It is exactly what I am saying. Once a man is sent to the gallows, he hangs. No one could escape, not in Great Britain. But the fact is, there was a witness to the fact that the man did escape his hanging.
If that were really true, counsel, the implications of misconduct would not stop at the supervising coroner. It would taint the honor of the entire judiciary. From the ground up.
Yep. Now I'm going full-blown government corruption. It's exactly because of those monumental repercussions that Dr. Scythe would consent to any demand made of her by someone who threatened to expose her secret, even if that meant being complicit in a crime.
Do you mean?
I mean that Dr. Scythe wasn't collaborating in Mr. Drebber's wicked scheme. I'm saying she was coerced into collaborating in order to protect her decade-old secret. She switched the dead body of Mr. Assman with the waxwork model and fabricated the autopsy report. You're looking guilty as sin now. Oh my god, and the leg. I forgot about the leg. Lord Von Zeeks! Right here? Right now? Really? Pray, forgive my freshly filled hallowed chalice, and a whole raft of other discourtesies now.
Goodness me.
It's just the sort of tall tale Londoners would enjoy, I grant you. An executed killer rising from the dead, a Scotland Yard cover-up, a conspiracy at the highest levels. So let me ask you one thing. Yeah, what's that? If the condemned man really did emerge from his tomb that night, only to be shot in the chest, who pulled the trigger? And disposed of him forever? Well, I'm already accusing Dr. Scythe of a lot. What's one more accusation to throw at her, I guess?
We have too little information to work that out at present, I think, Naruhodo.
Right, I agree, actually. Okay, well, the Old Bailey is no place for wild fantasies. But all of my wild fantasies always come true. And have you considered this, my learned Nipponese friend? Hey, Kazuma, is any of this ringing a bell to you? Is your memory coming back at all? What am I considering? Got distracted looking at my boyfriend. Do you realize just what a dangerous endeavor it would be to coerce this woman into such criminal activity? It's tantamount to declaring war on the entire British police force and judiciary.
Quite. Hard to imagine any sum of money being offered for research could warrant it.
To rely on some stage deception when so much is at stake, that would be madness. Well, I suppose when you put it that way. And this was no petty crime either. The victim was murdered. A man who'd already invested money in the venture and would be instrumental in future profits too. Yes, I had no reason to kill Mr. Assman at all.
Or are you forgetting that his death results in me not receiving a single penny? The court is already aware of the contract between myself and the victim, no?
Well, yes, there is the contract, that's very true.
The motive for this case runs deep, though. I can feel it. Using threats to force the head of the forensic investigation team to cooperate is rather extreme. Especially for a government grant he had no guarantee of receiving in the first place. If the research grant was the aim, taking Mr. Assman's life would have made no sense anyway. Which means, Mr. Drebber's motive isn't money here. He was just trying to kill Mr. Assman. But what was his motive then? Well, we know that Mr. Assman is on that picture.
Your time is up, my learned friend. I'd say you have one last chance before the jury lose their patience with this charade. Let's see if you can back up your heady proposal, shall we?
Always wasting good wine.
How do you explain why this engineer would throw away all caution to the wind and threaten his own country?
At this point, I'm not prepared to listen to more of this outlandish conjecture without proof. So, counsel, present your evidence.
Okay. Who exactly was Mr. Assman to Drebber? There's a connection there that no one's seen yet. And I'm going to have to present two pieces of evidence to show what it is. I think I know both pieces, actually. I think I'm actually good here. Thank God I happened to notice it. Yeah, my lord. The evidence that establishes a motive and explains why the witness wanted the victim dead is right here. I do, in fact, think it's the newspaper article. 10-year-old article. Mr. Drebber's dreadful encounter. This article named him, it put his name out in the presses, and it's Mr. Audi Assman who is there.
Take that!
It's this newspaper article, my lord, that was written 10 years ago, and every detail has been examined already. What can it possibly tell us? That drivel should have never been written. It's typical gutter press nonsense that means nothing. Well, yeah, on its own, it isn't particularly significant. However, when considered alongside another piece of evidence, it will completely explain your motive for wanting Mr. Assman dead. What other evidence?
Counsel, you will present your supplementary evidence without delay.
Alright, so this time, the second piece of evidence, this must be me having to show the other signature from their present-day contract, and I must have to do that to link both signatures together to indicate it's the same person. That's why I believe we have two signatures. Drebber's contract.
Take that!
It's this contract, my lord. Mr. Drebber, this is the contract that you signed with Mr. Assman. Yes, that's right. The very document, in fact, that proves I had no reason to kill the man. I'm afraid that's not correct. What? There's something very significant that this newspaper article and the contract have in common.
Really?
And it's that common link that shows very clearly why you were determined to kill Mr. Audi Assman. This took me forever to find because I didn't see the signature on the newspaper. Yeah, this one, thank God I happened to notice the signature, because that's really it. If you didn't notice the signature in the newspaper, I mean, it's there and it's obvious, but if you weren't looking for it and it just flew over your head, this whole part would probably be super confusing. It seems the defense has uncovered something the rest of us have missed. Goddamn right I did. These eyes, they're very keen. I may be blind as a bat, but I can still see. So my learned friend, point out what these two pieces of evidence have in common. Where exactly is the link between this newspaper article and the contract? Right here. I saw it.
Take that!
What these two pieces of evidence have in common is a signature.
A signature?
A signature. The signature on the illustration that accompanies the 10-year-old article and the signature on the contract. They both belong to the same person. What? Ugh. How has nobody ever seen this? My gosh. As the court has heard, this illustration was drawn 10 years ago by the newspaper reporter who found Mr. Drebber and interviewed him about his ordeal. If you look closely, the reporter's signature can be seen in the bottom right corner of the drawing. And if you look at the contract here, which was signed between the witness and the victim last year, you can clearly see Mr. Assman's signature at the bottom.
Let me see now. Oh, well, good lord, yes, they are in fact identical.
In short, the journalist who drew the illustration and wrote the article published about Mr. Drebber 10 years ago was the victim of this case, Mr. Adi Assman.
Objection!
Woot woot. But explain to the court why. Why would that constitute a motive for the witness to murder Mr. Assman? Well, if you think back, you'll remember that Mr. Drebber talked about that article in his testimony. Oh good, an unnecessary flashback. Grave robbing. Yes, exhuming fresh corpses to sell, it's rather lucrative. Alright, yep, but he got his retribution. He suffered a retribution because this article outed him. The Daily Circus unearthed his name and put it in the print. That is the motive here. Then he gave up on his dream of becoming a scientist. Sad. At the time, you were a student of the University of London who dreamt of becoming a scientist. However, this single newspaper article changed your entire life.
So, Mr. Assman used to be a newspaper journalist, did he?
He did, my lord. In fact, it's a widely held belief that Assman managed to position himself at the heart of his criminal network thanks to the many dubious connections he made during his time as a reporter. So you had to give up on your dream and leave university. You lost everything. Eventually, you found yourself working in the field of science, but only in the shadows. And all because of that article. The one written by Mr. Assman. Enough! Let those tears out, baby. Rust your monocle for me. Stop this endless drivel about my life. What?
Explain yourself, Drebber.
Yes, it's true I had to leave the university as a result of that article. But it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. What does that mean? Almost every student of science in the faculty was too poor to actually conduct any research. But they struggled on with their hypotheses anyway. We all did, only to have them taken by vultures. Sooner or later, you knew your ideas would be stolen and patented by some wretch or other after all.
Oh, well, good gracious.
Making a name for yourself as a scientist in a climate like that was a miracle only a select few geniuses could ever hope to achieve. Personally, I wasn't one of those geniuses, so it was hardly a wrench. Being forced out of the university because of Logade was the best thing that could have happened to me. Mr. Drebber, do you genuinely believe that? Of course I do! Who's better placed to know whether or not I possess a talent for science than me? Son of a bitch, this is where I'm about to present the trophy, isn't it? I'm sorry to say that your words don't ring true at all. How dare you! And I have evidence to prove it. We're gonna show your participation award. How are you in a position to say anything about me? I don't know you from Adam. Fine. If you think you have evidence, go ahead and show it. Thank you for your permission. What could you possibly have? Girl, look at this little award you had for being a cute little science nerd. Do you remember this, Mr. Drebber? We found it in your workshop. Is that a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science?
Oh, what exactly is this trophy, Counsel?
It's the greatest honor that can be bestowed upon a young scientist, my lord. There is no higher accolade. It recognizes emerging talent and promises a bright future.
Well, good gracious.
Your prospects for the future were excellent, weren't they, Mr. Drebber? Because even then, you were a genius in your field.
You were a successful man. But you lost everything. You had no more future. Your talents would go to waste. Jesus, Ryunosuke, rip him a new one, why don't you? All as a result of this one newspaper article. I don't know when you realized who Mr. Assman was, but when it dawned on you that it was the same journalist who 10 years ago ruined your life, it's abundantly clear that you had no intention of forgiving the man. The truth is... Okay, finally, here we go. He's gonna fold. Oh, man. Wait, what? Are we about to be cut off by Dr. Scythe, do we think? For sure, right? She's not gonna have any of this. Ha! Fine. Clearly this has run its course now. What? I admit it. I admit to all of it. What? Oh, you are not doing this to me in the 13th hour here. She's just gonna be the martyr for this court now? What? What are you doing? It's exactly as the Japanese man has said. I was coerced into going along with this man's plot to murder the victim, on the condition that he kept my dirty secret from 10 years ago. Oh. No. Well, good lord. Okay, so she's admitting to being a conspirator. Dr. Scythe, do you realize what you're saying, woman? Oh, don't call her woman. But it's all true. That day, when I arrived at the Crystal Tower and saw the birdcage, my heart nearly stopped beating. That memory from a decade ago that I'd done my best to bury deep inside of myself. It was the professor again, staring me in the face. And then, before I had the chance to react, I noticed something else. There was a note tucked inside of the model's jacket. Dr. Scythe, you will go along with my plan. From someone who knows the truth about what really happened that night, 10 years ago. Oh, this is so I know what you did last summer coded. All the instructions were there inside of the note. Every detail was meticulously written out. I had no choice but to do what it said. I made the necessary alterations to the scene and fabricated the autopsy report as instructed. There was really no other choice. It had to be done to protect the judiciary. I can only apologize now. Well, this is unfortunate. Why would you buckle now? Why would she buckle now? Well, there's no real point in trying to hide it anymore, is there? I would have done anything to stop it coming out, even collaborate in a murder. But the great lie about that execution 10 years ago, it's been exposed. Whatever happens, I'm finished. So then, Mr. Drebber, what do you say to that? Your accomplice has admitted everything. Surely it goes without saying that you admit your part in it too? I admit nothing at all. Oh, for fuck's sake. Does he even need to admit it anymore? Haven't we, proven it beyond a shadow of a doubt? Have you forgotten about the kinesis machine? That it was ripped to shreds by an explosion? Short of me admitting to a crime, there's really no possible way for you to prove that I did anything wrong. Well, I now have testimony from the coroner. So that should count for something, I thought. Order, order. Whatever this man says, I admit everything. He threatened to expose my secret, so I went along with his plan.
And Lord Von Zeeks,
Yes?
I hope that you'll accept my apologies. What happens next is in your hands, of course.
Oh.
I've heard more than enough now. I hereby present the final findings of this court.
Wait, are we ready for that? Huh?
This trial is not the proper form in which to pursue the alleged wrongdoings of Mr. Drebber. The defendant is Professor Albert Hairbrain.
Right. Kinda hard to remember that he's our fucking guy. Very true. It had slipped my mind. Mine too, honestly. Isn't he one of your closest friends?
As the court has heard, Dr. Scythe has admitted to the allegations brought by the defense. Thereby, this absolves the defendant of any possible guilt.
Oh! So you mean I'm good?
At the present time, it is the conclusion of this court that the defendant was not involved in any wrongdoing. Does the prosecution have any objection?
Well, of course not. Oh, sorry, I'm not the prosecution. Getting ahead of myself. None, my lord.
Ah! Congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo! You've proven Professor Hairbrain's innocence!
Fantastic!
Well, without further ado, then, the education. Unless the prosecution or defense have any other matters to discuss.
Nope, good here. I don't know. This doesn't feel quite right. Why did Dr. Scythe all of a sudden admit to it like that?
Is everything alright, Mr. Naruhodo?
It's like you said before. The way the trial is set to end now. The judge will certainly deliver a verdict of not guilty. But is that really what we want? What the defense should be pushing for now is... Well, it's so interesting you bring this up because as a lawyer whose job, like the job that I'm getting paid for, is to get my client found not guilty, the literal answer is to get my adjudication for my client. That's like my responsibility as a lawyer who's taking on a client. Like, that's the thing that I have to do. But as a real wild card, I could suggest we get further testimony. I'll save just in case, because it does feel like we're not actually done here. But, like, this is kind of at the detriment of my client, I guess. So that's a little bit weird, but okay. Sure.
Objection.
The defense objects to the trial ending at this time. I wonder what Professor Albert Hairbrain's thoughts are on this. Sitting there over in the back like, what the fuck?
I beg your pardon?
We demand one final testimony. Ooh.
You do realize I'm about to adjudicate in favor of your client, I presume?
What are you playing at now, my Nipponese friend? Why would you want to obstruct the conclusion of the trial at this point? No defense lawyer in his right mind would do that. Bold of you to assume I'm in my right mind.
Mr. Naruhodo, what exactly are you thinking?
The truth. The whole truth. And a way to bring it all out into the open. Dr. Sholmes warned me about this.
You mean Detective?
Detective Sholmes warned me about this. He said keep pursuing the truth to the end, even if I'm given an out.
Right!
Yes. In hindsight... Oh shit! Here it is! Game, I remembered it all by myself. I didn't even need this. Yep. Don't let it out of your sight. Go at it like a dog with a bone. I remembered, Sholmes. I remembered. I'm a good student. Oh, wait, am I his student? I'm sure Mr. Sholmes knew. He must have deduced that this would happen. Yes, I'm here in court to advocate for my client and to secure an acquittal. Obviously. But that's not all. I believe that I have a duty to the court to pursue the whole truth of the case until every last detail is laid bare. And that is why the defense calls for further testimony from Dr. Scythe.
Testimony from me? About what?
About the nature of your collaboration with Mr. Enoch Drebber.
In case it's escaped your attention, I've already admitted to all that I've done. The whole truth has already been revealed, so stop wasting everyone's time. As his lordship made very plain, your client will get the acquittal you wanted for him. There's simply no point protracting this business further with other tedious cross-examinations.
Girl, not the two-finger flip. Pray, forgive my careless handling of that hallowed bottle I sipped.
That's what you call it?
What is your objection, Lord Von Zieks?
The prosecution also calls for supplementary testimony from the witness.
Don't be stupid!
If there is more to this case than has yet come to light, then I will join my learned friend in pursuing the facts until the bitter end.
You'll what? Lord Von Zieks blushes like a slut.
This is most irregular, to say the least. However, as the prosecution also calls for it, I will uphold the request. Dr. Scythe, you will testify to the court, explaining the full extent of your involvement in the murder apparently committed by Mr. Drebber.
Very well.
Shit, boys, we're doing it! But this witness testimony will have to wait until tomorrow, boys. Also, just as a ballpark idea, trial part 4. Holy shit. As an idea here, do you guys think that is this the final testimony? Do you guys think that I'll wrap this case tomorrow? I'm gonna hope I can, because here's the thing. After tomorrow, I'm going to be gone for like a week and maybe like a day or two, or a couple of days. I have a sister coming in from out of town over the weekend, and I will be doing family things at the beginning of next week. I will not be around to stream. And then at the later half of this week, I'm going to Amsterdam. I'm hopping on a plane, I'm flying away, and I'm trying to secure some new content for some of my filthier audience in Amsterdam. So that's gonna, and if I'm there in Amsterdam, I won't be here, and I won't be doing streams. So all of next week is shot. Monday through Thursday, you won't see me. And then I think I will still be gone the following Monday, I think, but I think I'll be back by Tuesday in it. So I would like to try to wrap up this case, put a nice little bow on it, and finish episode 3 before I go away, because I feel like that would be like a really nice stopping point to take a break, perchance. And then I would see you guys after I get back, and that's what's gonna happen. So yeah. If you guys could please leave a like on this stream, the engagement is super helpful. So join me tomorrow for the conclusion of episode 3 of Great Ace Attorney 2. And that's it from me, boys, today. All right? Until then, toodles!